Okay, it's time to commit. 2024 is the year for prioritizing yourself. Begin your new smile journey with Byte, and you could start seeing results in just 2 to 3 weeks. Just order your at-home impression kit today for only $14.95 at Byte.com. Byte clear liners are doctor-directed and delivered to your door. Treatment costs thousands less than braces, plus they offer financing options, accept eligible insurance, and you could pay with your HSA, FSA. Get 80% off your impression kit when you use code WONDERY at Byte.com. That's BYTE.com. Start your confidence journey today with Byte.
This podcast is brought to you by eHarmony, the dating app to find someone you can be yourself with. Why doesn't eHarmony allow copy and paste in first messages? Because you are unique, and your conversations should reflect that. eHarmony wants you to find someone who will get you. How are you going to know who gets you if people send you the same generic conversation starters they message everyone else? Conversations that actually help you get to know each other. Imagine that. Get who gets you on eHarmony. Sign up today.
Hello, welcome. Let's chat. It's hard. You want to talk? I know, that's disappointing. Sit back. Let's work this out. How's it going? What are we doing here? Where are you going? Hey there. Wow. It's not always easy. It's amazing if you think about it. Let's think about this. Strange. I have some thoughts about that. Life is hard. Trauma bonded.
Okay, ready? I'm a slut.
I was going to say together.
Yeah.
I forget what it was now.
I'm a slut. I've always been a slut. I'll always be a slut.
I'll always be a slut. Okay. I'm a slut.
I'm a slut.
I've always been a slut.
I've always been a slut.
And I'll always
be a slut.
I'm a
slut.
I've always
been a slut.
And I'll always
be a slut. Is that 3?
That was 3.
And the thing about self-belief is it doesn't necessarily have to be true, but if you own it, you can get rid of it. That's his messaging, right?
Oh.
But I think I actually am this. I was thinking that maybe we could try some other ones.
Okay.
I am a procrastinator.
Oh, no.
I've always been a procrastinator. I'll always be a procrastinator.
Wait, is this going to make me a procrastinator?
It's not magic.
It feels weird. Why can't we say something like...
We're getting rid of it.
It seems like I'm admitting to it, and it'll be forever.
Yeah, it's owning it. You're owning the self-belief.
Okay.
So you can be free from it. I mean, I haven't taken the course yet.
We're just doing like what we think.
Do you think that this could get us into trouble? Like we walk away from this, and then we're both really slutty all of a sudden.
Oh my God, that'd be so weird.
I finished recording with T and I just walked outside and...
I don't know, I'm just
it was a busy night.
Procrastinating slut right now.
Yeah, I would be a slut if I wasn't such a procrastinator. Welcome to Trauma Bonded. I'm Elly Westberg here with Therese Garcia.
Hello.
And today we're discussing episode 321 of the podcast. This is actually happening... I have absolutely no fucking idea, which is a working title. And I seriously have no idea what the title of the episode is. Y'all, we're recording this a lot earlier than usual, and this is pre-title combos, so no idea. Do you have any ideas for a working title after listening to the episode?
Maybe I will after we talk a bit more.
Okay, fun. That'll be funsies. A little synopsis. Wow. Merle grows up poor in the backwoods of Missouri with a delusional mother and an abusive bastard father. Merle shows he's smart and talented early on, especially compared to his siblings and his father. Merle faces a lot of terrible shit like boy boobs and a broken neck, maybe even a TBI, but eventually escapes, and some gays adopt him and turn him into the shiny diamond he always was. He finds a husband and he discovers therapy and uncovers past trauma with EMDR therapy. He ends his relationship after 19 years. He cuts off his parents. He lives a very lonely life of being healed. He did all of the work on himself to heal, and he's helped to heal a lot of people. He begs us all to heal the past and look to the future and truly live some motherfucking life. And full disclosure, I am the showrunner of This Is Actually Happening. T knows nothing about anything, and she comes in fresh. And this show, Trauma/Bonded, is for the listeners, a space where we can talk about it, digest it, and reflect on it with empathy and also a bit of levity. That's Trauma Bonded. T, what stuck out to you is the heart of Merle's story.
Let's have you go first.
First of all, it feels almost like we're doing an ad for this guy, right? In a good way. Because at the end of it, I was like, I want to buy all of his books. I want to attend all of his seminars. I want to go through all of his programs. Did you feel the same way?
I mean, yeah, I just didn't know that he did all these books and seminars, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. And in the show notes for the This Is Actually Happening stuff, we'll probably have it in our show notes too. We'll have some directives for his shit. But I think the biggest heart for me really is this idea, like, how can we push all of our problems, all of our past hurts, and learned behaviors from family and society that we carry it all around and it's dirty and undealt with, and then we push it into another person. We merge our issues with their issues and wonder why it's all so crappy. And I truly admire him that he refuses to be with someone who hasn't done the work that he has. For someone that watches a lot of reality television and sees like a lot of terrible relationships, I think it's just this really refreshing message about how it's better to be alone with yourself than alone inside a relationship that is messy and problematic and leaves you feeling unfulfilled.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I'm not saying I have that relationship
right.
or you have that relationship.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not indicting our relationships at all. But it does make me think, like, if you can understand, like, how if someone really does a ton of work, has been in therapy for years, for decades, and is a completely different person because of that help at some point, and your partner hasn't also gone on that journey and is basically still his same person, even if he's lovely or wonderful, like, at what point do you feel that you're just completely grown apart? And we hear about people's relationships, how they've grown apart, and we don't really know what that means, but he sort of described it in this very particular way about it's like someone who's done the work versus someone that's just stayed stagnant, possibly, and refuses to get rid of their past.
Like repeats the same patterns.
Yeah.
Isn't learning from what they're doing or understanding why they're doing things. I'm sure that could be really frustrating.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be like therapizing your partner and being like, maybe it's, your daddy issues or something.
No.
They're like, what are you talking about? Like, you don't want to,
Yeah. And I'm sure that we will talk about all of these things. But what's your heart, T?
I saw a connection with the last episode.
Yeah.
We talked about a little bit. In fact, it's like, it was interesting because we really ended up talking about forgiveness.
Yeah. This guy's telling us fuck it.
Yeah, and I was saying fuck it too, right? Last week.
You were saying fuck it too, yeah.
And I was like, oh, good. So my story, I decided, was one word: unforgiveness.
Oh, okay.
As stated in last episode, but in a different way. So I think unforgiveness in the last episode, there's more of a negative side to it, right? Unforgiveness, it's a burden. You can't grow much from it because it's like...
Yeah, this pain you carry around.
Yeah, right? But I was thinking unforgiveness because, like my point of view last week, more on like a positive way, right? First of all, if no one's acknowledging it,
yeah,
they're not even validating you.
Yeah.
You're talking about self-belief, right? Like, hey, that's me. I'm going I believe myself it happened, and if none of you assholes are going to believe it, I'm good. We don't need to have a relationship.
He describes it like, yeah, the other party, their job is to make amends.
They haven't even done that.
So if they've not even done
Why
that
do I
work
have to
or
let it
made
go?
that
Why do I
effort,
have to do that?
then why do you have to let it go?
And then last week, they definitely didn't.
No, I know.
No one's acknowledging.
Definitely didn't.
But he was, I mean, kudos. And it's really, I think, a really difficult thing. And if it has been hard for you to move on, that's what you carry around, I get it. Let's get into the forgiving. But this guy, he's like, I think I'm good. You know, I'm done with that. I don't need to forgive them to be over it. And he talks a lot about boundaries.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a good way to keep your boundaries up. You're protecting yourself. You don't need to be in a relationship with somebody that re-traumatizes you over and over again, right? Yeah. So, yeah, I went with unforgiveness, which I'm not sure. Is that that's a word? I don't know. I've just never used it. I've used it so many times the last couple of weeks.
It is now.
I keep thinking about that movie, Unforgiven.
I think it's fascinating to think about the show like in different parts, you know, that we went from 1 week the message is staunch forgiveness. And now we've got a Buddhist telling us, no, fuck forgiveness. I mean, that's just the wide gamut of the show. And it's like, what resonates with you? How are you going to live your life?
Yeah, and I feel like I felt them both. I feel them.
I felt them both too. Yeah. But I think that there is this, I don't know, there's a stigma attached to these words, both good and bad, negative and positive. I think that this idea of freely forgiving without asking for amends or accountability, there's something sort of noble in that.
It's like rooted in Jesus or something, some kind of religion, something that I'm not signing up for.
You're probably right.
You know?
Ew. You're good at sniffing that shit out, aren't you?
There's something weird going on around here. It's like, I just forgive, you know? What is it? Didn't he die for our sins?
Yeah, past, present, future, baby.
Yeah, that's forgiving it. It's like, okay.
If Jesus can so freely forgive, why can't you?
Yeah, right? So then they say stuff like that and you're like,
yeah,
F you, dude. No.
And you know what it really is? It's just, it's a justification for usually for men, but we'll say for people. They're asking you to keep giving them passes for bad behavior.
Yeah.
And it's put a lot of women in a lot of shitty ash marriages. Just keep forgiving him. I'm just going to love him. I'm just going to keep loving him.
He's good guy. He's a good guy doing bad things.
He's got potential. If I could just raise him on being a little baby boy. No, I know. I
mean, there's like so many people in the world. Like, why do I have to deal with this, you know?
Yeah, but apparently even Merle, who's done all the work, can't find someone that matches him, you know, and he runs...
Well, eventually.
In these circles of like healing and healed people. If he can't find it, I don't know what the rest of us are going to do. I mean, you and I are in committed relationships and we're very happy. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, but there's a lot of healing that needs to be going on with all of us, I'm sure.
Yeah. God forbid one of the four of us starts down a path.
Yeah.
Leaving the other three behind.
Let's be on the same level of unhealedness.
Yeah, agreed. That's why we can all like get along now.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. I mean, I loved him. Did you love him?
I did. Yeah.
So I was, you know, listening to him the last couple of days, and I was driving down 280 today to the city, and I actually let out a
oh why?
I don't know, he just has some of his like knowings, like his knowisms, like just, you know, when you hear just like good true words said in a very succinct way.
Yes-isms.
And it makes you, it like enlivens something, like his truth speaks to your truth, and it like something awakens in you. Like us talking about, we've been talking about that rage that people feel, that women feel. And when you hear something that rings true or that is finally said in a way that you kind of get it or you needed to hear it, it just makes you feel like, yes,
Yes, queen.
you know? And to be honest, like, I watch a lot of reality television, and I always say that I'm actively watching it, meaning like I'm analyzing it and I'm reacting to it, and it's not just me passively taking in these assholes. But I think it is bad for me because I never feel full from it. I always feel quite empty, actually, after watching and really paying attention and arguing in my head with what I would do or what I would say, or why don't they say, or why doesn't someone say something?
I know, I get so annoyed.
And it's a terrible, chaotic place to live in, and I know it's not good for me. So when I hear someone like this,
Yeah.
it's just like a lot of truth speaking, it makes me feel filled up. And that's why I said I wanna like embark on all of his programs. And then it makes me feel like, well, maybe I should not actively watch these shows that are hurting me, that are
Why do you
taking
think they're
from me.
hurting? Oh, they're taking.
They're not filling me up.
I
I'm
see, I
just
see.
pouring out to them toward nothing,
It feels like, yeah, garbage kind of or something. And then maybe it's like the more time you spend watching, it's like you think that the world is like that.
yes, of course.
Whereas if you listen to this guy a bunch, if the world was like this, much better.
Yeah, but he himself said that he couldn't find someone. So
Yeah.
if he would have been like, and then I found the dude who's also done the healing that I've done, then I'd be like, oh, there's hope for people.
He doesn't need it. He doesn't need it, you know, to a point where he's going to settle for that kind of thing.
it seems that he's made this case that he is done.
Yeah.
He's fully formed. He's complete. He's dealt with all of his past shit.
Yeah.
He lives a life of honor, whatever. Like this guy, he's just enjoying his.
He should start his own religion.
He would do really well as a cult leader. He would do really well. Let's go back and like talk about bits of his story. You know, he talks about his grandma being deeply religious and just sort of waiting to die. I mean, I think this probably resonated with both of us.
Yes.
Did you have feelings when he describes such a person?
What a sad, sad, sad existence sometimes. You know, like I just think of my mom, like, I'm glad she's moving closer now and we'll get to hear more. But other than that, she's just praying.
Sitting in her lazy boy, crying and praying the rosary.
Crying and praying and feeling guilt for things that, you know, like, I'm like, don't even worry. Let's hang out.
Waiting for God to take her home.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really sad existence. His dad was a son of a bastard. That's what he said, right?
Yeah.
My dad was a son of a bastard, which apparently set him back in a lot of ways. And I think that we forget generationally how much those kinds of things meant a lot.
Yeah.
Just a couple generations ago. And it seems to me that he's mentioning it because he feels like it really sets his father on this course for failure, right? His mother is like, she's like a fantasist and a drama
There's a lot
queen
going on there.
and a liar and delusional.
Yeah.
She emotionally incested his brother, but she's the safe parent. Think about that.
And he's a lot like her, personality-wise.
And she would say that there's this other part of her, there's this other version of her that's the robot version of her, maybe to like blame. Oh, that was the robot version of me. Don't worry about it. She sat at the right hand of Jesus. She's related to the Queen of England. I mean, these are just some of the things that he said. She's one of the most powerful people in the world, and he believes he is the heir apparent to that sort of tradition. And so because he's so isolated and indoctrinated, he believes
it's true. It's just true.
The confidence of this guy, I mean, which turned to arrogance.
Yeah.
Completely unsocialized, ill-mannered, full of arrogance. I mean, this is not a childhood that we've heard about before on the show. Usually people are just like smashed into the ground until they can't take it anymore. But I don't know, was it a good thing or a bad thing that his mom built him up to have so much, I don't know, self-belief?
I mean, you're talking over here about imposter syndrome, right?
Yeah.
It's like the opposite. I mean, how amazing. Sometimes I'm at work or something and people are just confident.
Yeah.
And saying words.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, yeah. Okay. Good. You know?
But you could say the same sentences and then just turn to someone and be like, that's right? Is that right? Did I get that right?
Yeah. What'd I say? Yeah, but maybe it seems like maybe too much, but is there like a balance there where someone has a nice, healthy confidence about them?
Yeah, but it's based on bubkiss. It's just based on isolation and indoctrination and knowing nothing else about the world. It's an ignorant confidence.
Still, though, walking around later as an adult, it's like, okay, doing good. You know?
Well, at least the gays could see he was a diamond in the rough. He just needed some polishing.
Yeah.
He grows up in a backwards town called Rolla, Missouri. Moved around a lot. Even had a outhouse. No running water in one location. Trigger warning.
Okay.
The part about animal cruelty.
Yeah.
And if you guys don't want to listen to it, I know it's my one trigger warning. I actually fast forward through things. I can pretty much handle anything else. So if you guys don't want to listen to us talk about this section, fast forward 2 minutes. I just can't take stories with animal abuse or death anymore.
Yeah.
And this came out of nowhere, and it was a lot what he said.
Yeah. It went on and on.
You know, I watch a lot of these like psycho stories about like serial killers and stuff, and there's a lot of like animal cruelty in them. And as soon as they mention, and I had this pet duck, I just start fast forwarding because I know exactly what the end, of the story is going to be.
Not.
And I'm really tired of it being a trope in movies, just like Save the Cat is. You endear a person to you because they saved an animal. They also use that trope if, they kill an animal. That's like speaking to a particular kind of evil. I don't want to see any more. If it's fiction, find another fucking way. Quit killing dogs. Sorry. Quit killing animals on screen when I'm supposed to go to a movie to enjoy it. I just fucking hate that shit.
Wasn't there a documentary with like a cat thing? It's called...
Yeah.
It's like, I refuse to watch it because I think I'll totally get effed up.
It's called Don't Fuck with Cats, Hunting an Internet Killer. But the characters in that movie around that and that whole story is just fucking bonkers. It's so good. But yeah, that is really upsetting part. And we can move on, but that was like really upsetting.
It just sucks, because like you're a little kid, you're seeing this happening. You're starting to, you're loving these animals. It's just awful.
I think it's the gratuitous nature of it too, to like see any living thing beaten to death, I think is really, or drown, something where there's like extended suffering. That's really, it's not like bullet to the brain.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's terrible. And that's sort of my own little side issue that I hate. And then some other terrible shit happens. Now, he talks about when he's 9,
trigger warning again,
Well,
this is
the whole thing's a trigger warning.
Yeah, trigger warning, the whole thing, yeah.
This is the craziest shit I've ever heard. Ever. And the way he describes it is just, it like set my head on fire, And the way he explains it, the way he tells it is just shocking. Like when you heard cock and throat, were you like, wait, what did he just say?
I had to rewind it.
It just like drops cock and throat.
And like listen to, and then I'm like, oh my God, I'm I know. And then I'm like, what is psycho I am for like rewinding it over and over? And I'm like, what'd you say?
Is that cock and
I'm
throat?
like, you're
Cock
so
and throat.
gross.
Cock and
What?
throat. Cock and throat. Cock and throat. Cock down my throat.
And then I finally was like, I think I heard it right the first time.
Yeah.
And,
He's a little boy.
Yeah.
He's looking up at this figure towering above him. He disassociates, so he blocks it out. And then it expresses itself later as a phobia of tall buildings because it makes sense. He's little. He's looking up. It's a towering figure, right? Which is, whew. And then through EMDR later, he goes into this trance or whatever it is. And immediately the memory comes back, cock and throat. And this towering figure, which he is associated with buildings, is actually his father that had sexually abused him for a handful of years. And he realized too that anytime he like heard those steps on the stairs, he just completely checked out, just blacked out.
That's how awful it was.
It's too much. And the family does not shy away from sexual talk.
At the dinner table, just saying that? That's so... What's going on there?
His dad's a nudist. I mean, he just every sentence he says, I'm just like, what the fuck?
I know.
His dad's a nudist, and this behavior is overwhelming to him. He has no tools to cope. His dad, who's abusing him, is his role model. So he hates and loves him at the same time. And he says, does that make sense? And I think, of course, it makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Especially for a child, right? And then this whole idea of like his mom knew, his supposition is that his mom knew because in a way it makes him have to do the heavy lifting of giving her husband blowjobs.
How fucked up is that?
Like, let's spread the work.
She's like, it's the least you can do kind of thing.
I mean, this is how he thinks of it in his mind. And I don't think
she doesn't want to do it.
She doesn't want to do it. She talks about it openly.
She has made that clear.
Yeah.
To everyone.
Yeah. Can you imagine your mom talking about anal sex too to avoid being pregnant?
Oh my God. What's going on? Half the time she's, in a spaceship. The other half she's talking about anal sex. You're just I mean,
as he said, they didn't have TV. Wow, what a colorful thing to watch and listen to and hear, to be entertained by. Except it's your fucking mother and your fucking childhood that's on the line. Fuck. They're poor. They have no resources. That assaulted him in a lot of ways, And he was this bright, talented kid. And he says he feels like he spent the next 20 years trying to catch up by all of these things that sort of set him back. And I don't know if you felt like you could relate to that. I've always said I felt like I lost like a good decade because of the religious trauma in my life.
Like a maturing?
Yeah, I just feel like I'm like a decade behind everyone else in all kinds of ways.
I sometimes think that as well.
Yeah.
Not about you. About me. Sometimes I think that about you.
God told me to tell you.
I think the whole being in the closet thing was distracting.
It set you back?
I think it set me back a little bit in terms of all sorts of stuff. Maturity, professionally.
Yeah, but you're like killing it.
Well, yeah. Had to catch up.
You finally caught up, is what you're saying.
Finally caught up.
But how much more further could you have been if you were more self-accepting?
Oh my God, I would have been.
Don't think about it. We'll all be dead soon. So the family moves to Arizona, and all of a sudden the abuse stops. Why?
Yep.
Let's guess. Did you have any ideas?
I mean, I had some guesses about maybe why he started that were different and then why he ended as well. But I'm not sure.
Well, this is our show and you can freely say whatever you want.
Oh, yeah, it's true. I was just wondering if it ended up being at the same time that he's just like getting older and his dad is no longer into him.
Okay.
I think he maybe reached an age when he was into him.
Yeah.
And maybe his brother, like, wasn't that age anymore or whatever.
It's a very narrow window.
Well, I don't know what the time was the time.
Well, it sounded like it started when he was 9, but then they moved, he said mid-7th grade, so around 12.
Oh, yeah.
But I guess that
Yeah,
makes sense. Like
Yeah.
pre-pubescent boys is a
Yeah.
kind of a window for child predators.
I think so. I mean, that's just what I thought. What'd you think?
I guess I chalked it up more to opportunity, like when we're in the
I
backwoods
thought that too.
of Missouri and
Yeah.
we're not around other people, I
Yeah.
can kind of like rule the roost and do as I like. But now, as he describes it, they're in this more urban setting with lots of people around,
Yeah.
so he can't hide his sins as much.
Yeah.
But also, and I could be completely wrong here too, it sounded like him and the mother, they had this new job opportunity, so maybe
All right.
maybe feeling more satisfied in other parts of your life, like the kind of, I don't know, confidence that you get by working a job that you find meaningful, like took his
Yeah.
stressors away and made him
Distracted him.
a
or
new
something.
person. And you can't
I
even
don't
begin to
know.
get in the mind of a guy like this. I mean, yeah, like, oh, I'm really depressed in Missouri, so I'm just gonna, abuse my kid. But oh, I got this new job. I'm like a new person. I don't know. Don't look at me like that.
No, it's just
I'm not relating it to Forrest Gump.
I don't really know, but I thought that too. I'm not the new job, but the new job, new life. No,
I gave all that up. I run a hotel for snowbirds.
yeah. What was that?
What?
What's that mean?
You've never heard the term snowbird?
Hotel for snowbirds? No. I put a big question mark next to it.
Oh, a snowbird is a term for like an elderly person that maybe not necessarily elderly, but like more advanced in their golden years, where they don't want to spend winters in wintry places anymore. Like maybe they've lived in Chicago all their life, and they're going to spend their winters now in Arizona. They're snowbirds.
Oh, gotcha. That was very confusing for me. Didn't look it up.
I know it's hard. Words are hard.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute. A little bird hotel.
And now he's
Oh,
not abusing
snowbird,
anyone.
that sounds cute. What is it?
Yeah, he's not abusing
little
anyone.
white
He's not
bird.
killing those snowbirds.
Yeah, your mind was all over the place. I wonder how many people are listening to this going, oh. Oh.
I hope at least one.
Well, if half of us is, I'm sure there was at least one. Shout out to Jamie,
Oh,
our OG fan.
what up, Jamie? What'd you
Jamie,
say?
did you know what a
What are you
snowbird
thinking?
was?
Yay or nay?
Let us know. Okay, let's talk about like how he described the way preteen boys are in a locker
Oh my
room.
God. Is
Did
this
you
what
know
how they
that this
are?
is happening? I've never
I
heard
mean, I was
anything
in
like
the
this.
girls' locker room, and
We
it's
were not
like
doing that.
normal things.
If anything, we were just hiding in shame
Changing.
if our period
Yeah.
started. There was
Yeah.
no rabble rousing or
was like-
showing each other like our tit development or anything like that.
No. What is that?
Like
Is that a normal
dragging
thing?
your junk along the floor to get off? Is that a thing? Running around showing, like comparing your hard-ons? What is going on in
hope not. That seems so crazy.
I guess I've never known a preteen boy, so I don't know. I've never heard these stories.
I was so confused.
But it makes sense in a way because
Does
they've got
it?
this like crazy member that has its mind of its own, and you're still, you're a kid and everything's funny to you, and you're just raging hormones. And yeah, maybe they're just like showing each other their stuff because they just discovered it. Like you just discovered Jesus and you want to tell the world about it. I don't know.
But I mean, we had our own genitals that I
Yeah, but
wasn't
we
trying
don't
to do
have like
that.
wet dreams. Like
Oh,
we're not
because it's
waking
like-
up
Oh, okay.
horny. So poor Merle. He realizes he's gay pretty early. He just knows that this like unrealized dream for his life doesn't make any sense to him. It's not something he accepts, to get married and have kids. He's feeling a bit outside of that. He dives into a pool in the shallow end, and it sounds like he breaks his neck or his back. He thinks it was a suicide attempt. He mentions that he's developed breasts as a kid, and he gets fat, and he learns to masturbate wrong, which is like,
oh my God,
bloody and violent. And now, his needs are all fucked up.
I was like, you're not doing it wrong. He's like, I did it wrong. And I was like, you're not doing it wrong. How'd you do it? And then he said that, and I was like, that's definitely wrong.
Yeah.
Definitely wrong.
But this poor kid, I mean, I can't imagine being a boy/man in this world. The kind of requirements that are just insane, crazy making requirements they put on kids. It's like to have tits as a boy,
Yeah.
right? The shame in that. And there's nothing you can do about it. And just how other kids are going to berate you. Just that in and of itself. I mean, there's a list of things that are terrible for him, but that in and of itself, I can't imagine. I mean, even as girls starting to get tits and people talk about it and notice it, it's like quite embarrassing. Like, it's like all of your shit is on display. Like your growing up is on display to people, and people feel like they're okay to comment on it or touch you, or, it's terrible. It's terrible what kids go through.
We need to open up the conversation.
Yeah. All these, all those poor fat boys with their man boobs, and they wear their t-shirts in the pool like we couldn't see it. Like, if anything, we saw it more, the outline in the t-shirts in the pool.
Yeah.
But they wanted to be covered up. It makes me so sad to think about. He's got so many good money lines. He says, the abused takes on the shame of the abuser. Have you ever heard this before?
No, this is new.
It makes sense on some level. I've never heard it. What do you think that means?
I thought about this a lot because I'd never heard it.
Yeah.
And it feels like it'd be true.
I mean, I guess I perceive it as like projection, right? Like, if you're a liar, if you lie a lot, you might find it really hard to trust people because you know what you get up to. So you're going to project being untrustworthy onto someone else, even though they've not done anything to warrant that. So a man that has to rape his own son, clearly something has gone awry.
Yes.
And they think that violently taking that need from their child, they're working something out there. And I don't think that they can't help but put onto them that shameful need that they have. Because you are leaving the kid thinking, what have I done to deserve this? This isn't a solitary act. This is impacting another person. And I think it's the same thing that Merle talks about later, this idea of
your first sexual experience.
No. Of interoception.
Oh, interoception.
The process of receiving, accessing, and evaluating internal bodily signals. And he brings this up when he's talking about like how our bodies know everything, how our bodies know all. Like he brings up the example of when you walk into a room and you feel the energy of the room.
Yeah.
Like it's something that we can't really fully understand. And so there's this new idea that finally has a name to it, this interoception, where your body is interpreting like bigger things that are happening in the room, or, the energy of a space. And it's asking you to really be with yourself, to really listen to yourself. And I think this is not a new idea, right? We've had different language around this for millennia. We talk about this in Christian circles and spiritual circles, this still small voice. There's, this thing that's inside of you that knows when something is wrong. It immediately, like, its spidey sensors go up. And it may not be something that you can, like, put your finger on per se. It's not a physical, obvious thing, like, that man has a mole. It's like, it's just something you sense. I think that's what interoception is. Interoception. The new follow-up movie from Christopher Nolan, Interoception.
Interception.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I hear that. I also was thinking that, like, he was saying absorb the shame of the abuser, right? And then he talks about the masochistic fantasies and that it's, like, awful to eroticize shame. And I was connecting that to when he was saying that your first sexual experience is how you are sexually.
Mm.
And that, like, I guess you don't only absorb the shame of the abuser, but also maybe the fantasies as well.
It's almost like you're a vessel that's being poured into. Like it's almost like you're not just taking their shame, but you're creating a new shame for yourself around us that sort of mirrors and walks and shadows their shame.
But that's it. What if you think that's what sex is, you can eroticize that.
Yeah.
And then it really, I think, messes you up.
There's so many damaging things attached to sex.
Yeah.
It makes me, like, at some point, I'm just, like, hearing stories like this, I just feel turned off completely.
I know.
I'd much rather be like, okay, if I have to open myself up and, like, be near these sorts of experiences, I'd rather just be celibate, because it's just so deeply disgusting and uninteresting to me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, at some point, just, like...
Yeah. Does it seem worth it? Like,
it's almost like it's pathological. Like, yeah, does it seem worth it? But
yeah,
people got to get off.
Can't we just make it more of a healthy thing?
Just get a vibrator. Just be done.
Just get, like, a fleshlight, Have fun with it.
I mean, I think we all kind of learned how to masturbate, though, like, wrongly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just his happened to be kind of injurious.
Oh, I was talking about the dad, though.
Oh, yeah. They didn't have fleshlights back then, T.
I know, but I'm just like, just use something else.
Well, we know that sexual coercion is rooted. It's about power, right? It's not necessarily just about getting off. It's about exerting the power. And he said it himself. Like, once he became the heir apparent and his brother was sort of on the outs, that's when he became the target of his father. So it wasn't just like getting his dick wet. It was, I'm showing you that I'm still the main guy here. I wear the pants. You beat me at checkers, fuck you.
Yeah.
Let's leave all that.
Yeah, because I can't.
Oh, so thank God he escaped and he brought all his baggage with him to college. He's arrogant. He has no social skills. And he flunks out of college because he has no tools to cope with this life. And his roommate recommends therapy. And this is absolutely his turning point in his story. He sees a Gestalt therapist. Research alert. Gestalt therapy is a type of psychotherapy that helps clients focus on the present moment and how it makes them feel. It's a humanistic and person-centered approach that aims to increase self-awareness and personal responsibility. Gestalt therapy techniques involves having the client talk to an empty chair in order to resolve old issues. Role plays and reenactments involves helping the client practice certain skills in the present moment. Experimentation methods involves the use of different Gestalt techniques. Dream work involves a reenacting of the client's dreams. So to me, it sounds like this is sort of how we perceive pretty modern therapy to be, right? helps clients focus on the present to understand what's actually happening in their lives at the moment and how to make them feel in the moment, rather than what they may assume to be happen based on past experiences. So the old gays fix him, in a manner of speaking. They give him table manners and tell him it's okay to be gay. And he goes to a gay bar, and that's when he meets Reber, who ends up being his partner for almost 20 years. And he mentions that they have shared a past life together. Did you catch that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we know that he's a Buddhist. Do they believe in reincarnation?
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
There you go. And they have an open relationship. And again, this is like a tradition and education that's passed down by the old queens. And Merle gets into therapy. He's deep in therapy. He likes it. He wants to be it. He realizes he's a healer himself. And him and Reber moved to Oakland. Shout out to Oakland.
Yeah.
He talks about EMDR and how it brings forth memories, and now they can be addressed and dealt with. And it helps explain his prior bad behavior. Like being like promiscuous, etc.
There was no memory of sexual abuse until that. That's so
No
crazy.
memory. Isn't that crazy and scary?
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like if you do it, like, what are you going to uncover in your own life that you don't want to know?
Or you're just living your life, and then all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's totally different. So 19 years later, Reber and him break up because Reber just refused to do the work of therapy. And Merle was growing for 19 years, and Reber basically stayed the same. And he had to break up. They had become different people entirely. And Merle describes it as it like devastated him. He cried for 5 years. I mean, it's really sad. It's so hard to walk away from something that has so much goodness to it and has so much history that's good. You know, I think a lot of us we tend to wallow or fall into the traps of the sunken cost fallacy. You know, I've been with this person for so many years. We know so much about each other. We've been in each other's lives. We were in each other's bank accounts. We're in each other's families. We know each other's favorite ice cream. But for whatever reason, it's not work. It's really, really hard to walk away from that relationship. It takes extra special care. And a lot of people get stuck because they're afraid that if they walk away, that means that all of that time and energy and knowing that's been spent was for nothing. And that's not true, but that's how we think about it in our head. It's pretty brave for him to walk out of that. And I wonder if he considers that he possibly could have been perfectly happy with a man that maybe wasn't as involved as him. Possible. I don't know. We don't really know. So he gets into, he's a psychotherapist himself. He says that he tends to treat men mostly. And he says the big ugly secret is most men are traumatized.
Yeah.
And they're not allowed to be. Whew.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
And they can't be close with other men.
Yeah.
Because then you're gay.
Yeah. Well, we just play basketball. Yeah, it's either we're fucking or playing basketball. Like, there's no just normal intimacy in between.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
No.
I've had some really great friendships with women.
Yeah. And men.
And men.
But men on men?
No, that's...
Can't be done.
Do you think it's because they did all that run around in locker rooms showing each other their dicks that they have to, like, do the opposite later?
We were like, oh, we were just preteen boys showing each other our hard-ons. And all of a sudden we became, we're men now. Oh, I can't believe I did that.
I don't like you don't like me.
Ooh, what does it all mean? Ooh.
Right?
Ooh, is the game on?
Just don't do that before, then you can just be normal later.
No, I think you might be right.
Yeah, it's kind of like...
Opposite. Oh, I like this line when he said, I really like men, and men aren't used to being liked. They're used to being feared. They're used to being misunderstood.
Yeah.
They're used to being able, like, considered like a basketball partner or someone that you beat in a boxing ring. They're not used to being liked. That's really sad.
Yeah.
I mean, if they just quit being so deeply unlikable.
Yeah, then maybe we'll like them. Just kidding.
So he says that it was a burnout of sorts, but not really. He just wanted to move on to the next. And he ended up in Carpinteria, California. He said he went there and he cried and he immediately stayed. Have you ever been?
No.
I looked it up on the map. It's sort of like, it's definitely Southern California, and it looks like on a map it's just maybe 100 miles north of LA on the coast. It's in Santa Barbara County. But the way he like briefly talked about it, it made me want to visit it. I'm just so curious.
Oh, Carpinteria.
Carpinteria, yeah.
Looks very nice.
It looks really cute. Let's talk about boundaries.
Okay.
I still don't know exactly what he's talking about. This whole idea of like the energy happens when we like, where we hit the line, when we hit the boundary with each other, like spears that bounce off each other. And that's when it's cool and it's alive and it's good.
Right.
But when we merge is when it's bad.
Yes.
And socialization tells us that we should merge. Again, we haven't taken the course yet. I think maybe we should.
Okay.
Will that be fun?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? He has like a 7-step course or something about boundaries? I would totally take it. I'm super
Yeah,
curious.
let's check it out. I should do better with my boundaries.
He talks about how most people are merged, and it's something that's kind of taught to us. Religion, relationships, our inaccurate view of empathy and understanding. It's too much about merging and not enough about boundaries. I mean, I'm fascinated by it.
It's interesting. It is very interesting.
And I feel like I've been sort of setting up some new boundaries in my life in the last year.
Yes.
So, yeah, I just want to know more about that.
It's very empowering, I think.
Yeah.
To have boundaries.
Totally.
I'm not as good with them myself.
Especially if you're a people pleaser or you're not someone that advocates for yourself.
Yeah.
Or you just want to always be a giver. You know, people say that you're either a giver or a taker. Which one are you? But why can't you be both?
Yeah. Definitely trying to be a people pleaser all the time, you know?
What did you think about what he said, that we marry our parents? Did that resonate with you?
Yeah, I mean, I was like, no. And then,
No.
But then I like the idea of like a healthier version of your parents. And I don't know that I married my parents, but I definitely try to be healthier than my parents were in every way, you know?
Yeah, I know that. This whole segment where he's talking about, you know, partner.
Yes.
I never understood that healing myself would lead to such loneliness because no one else bothered to do it. Whoa. He's mad, right?
Yeah.
Like in a good way. And he knows it. He said people think he's scary. He's like, finding people that are doing the work is rare. Own your own shit. I spent all those years working on myself and no one else did. I'd rather be alone than lonely in a relationship. And I think we've all felt that feeling before, what he's talking about there. Yeah. It's not my job to heal them. It's not my job to make them men. And he wants to be in relationship, but he's unwilling to move the bar down. It was really revelatory to me. I mean, we're really kind of selfish, right? That we just ask people to take on all of our shit. And we don't have enough fortitude or concern for them to work our shit out before we like just press it up against someone else.
Yeah, like you deal with it.
You know what I mean?
You deal with me and my issues.
Yeah, here, this is mine. I've been carrying this around. Now you carry it too.
Yeah.
Here, give me yours.
Yeah.
Let's spread it out.
Yeah.
It's fucked. He says people don't live their lives, and he's invested in the truth no matter what, no matter how painful it is. And he doesn't believe in being a victim. And he says everyone's in a competition to be the biggest victim right now. And I think this is what we talk about when we're talking about trauma competition.
Yeah.
When we talk about like how social media has caused us to be in a brand war of sorts with who's had it the roughest, who's the deepest, who's had the most depth of character from adverse circumstances, who's worthy of being believed or listened to, or you can buy their shit because they've actually had like a assaulted life. And I'm totally with him. And then he says, and as a Buddhist, I believe this is all pre-planned. And then I'm like, oh, I don't know about that.
Right.
Do you think it's all pre-planned? This is a big idea.
I mean, I don't necessarily, but because hopefully we have some kind of control over things that happen. But I mean, you could say that.
Like, who's doing the pre-planning? Doesn't a pre-planned idea imply that someone's pre-planned it? Can something be planned without an actor planning?
Is it you from a previous life? Maybe we got to take the program.
Yeah, I guess we
See
have
what
to
he
take the
says.
program. This is why I got to buy the book.
Yeah, who pre-planned? Yeah.
He writes a letter to his dad, basically calling him a rapist. So that didn't go over very well. He cuts out of his parents. He doesn't go to his dad's funeral, but he does go to his grave. And what does he say, T, at his grave?
One down, one to go.
You better believe it. We're both working on those numbers.
Wow.
I feel like his letter to his mother is like,
oh my God. The letter to his...
I can't. It's like I can't decide if it's like ultimate pettiness or like true. It is both.
It's a little bit of both. It was crazy.
I can't imagine the horrors of your childhood to create your personality the way that it did. I'm so sorry. It's like...
I mean, the first thing I thought was absolute pettiness. I mean, everything, that whole quote, I was like, oh my God.
Like,
well, what
I'm
happened to you that you're such a fucking asshole? Sorry for you. It's like, oh my God.
I cannot stand the way that you are. I know it's not your fault, but it's terrible. Can you fix that?
And in the story that she tells when they're at the Denny's or whatever,
I think it's
was that
like
confusing?
I think it's like a Bush pun.
Oh. I was like, what is she talking about?
This is probably years ago.
I did not even
this is
think
old Clinton
of the Bush
pun.
Yeah, totally. Oh, wow. I totally didn't. I was just thinking about her bush, and I was like, this is the weirdest story I've ever heard.
She sounds colorful. Don't live in the past. Your future may be good, it may be bad. Don't know, but it will be interesting.
Is that strange for a psychotherapist to say don't look at your past?
Don't live in your past.
Oh, is it don't live in? Well,
I think he's asking people to examine and root out and address their past, but don't live there.
Look forward. That's where life exists, not in the past.
If we're not doing the work, most of us are living in the past. We don't realize we are, but we are. We're bringing forward all of the same socialization. We're bringing forward all of the traumas. We're bringing all of these ways that we were taught to live by people that we don't necessarily even respect.
Yeah.
And we've never done the work to like create something new. So I think he's saying don't live in the past, but address it, heal from it.
Learn from it, yeah.
Learn from it and move on. Yeah, man.
I like how logical he is.
He's super logical without being like woo-woo. He's really great about like saying it exactly like it is. Like basically don't be a baby and he'll handle your shit. Don't be a victim. Don't forgive. Like, he's kind of a
Don't
badass.
forget.
He's
I
like
love
kind
it.
of a Buddhist badass, you know?
Buddhist badass. That's what you should call it. What if you were a
Call
Buddhist
the
badass?
episode.
There you go.
Oh, and then we came up with the title. What? Did you hear that? What if you were a badass Buddhist?
The Buddhist badass.
Well, that's something we can debate. Thank you for listening. This has been an episode of Trauma Bonded. You can find our show or podcasts are kept. If you like us, please rate and review us on Apple or other places. Rate us 5 stars and write like and love it. Wants more of it. That's it. It takes seconds. Thanks to everyone who's rated us and grab a friend's phone and rate it again. Thanks to Merle Yost for sharing their story and giving us the opportunity to talk about it. And thanks to the This Is Actually Happening team, including Whit, Missildine, and Andrew Waits, and the maker of our music and website, Nathaniel Chambroli. And thanks to Cathy Sites for editing this episode, and to Katie Capel for building those last Instagram posts. You can contact We are trauma bonded to the story, to the storyteller, to the listeners, and to each other. Thanks for spending time with us today. Love you, T.
Love you, Elly. Good job. Hey, thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Okay. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Trauma Bonded